Well, this weekend, the GST holiday kicks in. The government initiative will remove the federal sales tax for a range of items, including children's toys, restaurant meals, as well as beer and wine. And while consumers may be rejoicing during the expensive holiday season, some small businesses are staring down a rather complicated 2 months with the tax change. And for more on this, we have reached Ross Hickey. He is an economist at UBC Okanagan's Faculty of Management. He joins us this morning. Good morning to you, Ross.
Good morning.
So what is this tax change actually going to mean to retailers in the way that they have to do business or make adjustments?
Well, it's a kind of interesting case. The GST is a value-added tax, which means that vendors who pay tax on inputs can collect a rebate on the tax that they've paid. So, for example, if a restaurant is selling wine to patrons, they purchase the wine and they may have paid GST on the purchase, but they can submit the receipts for that GST that they've paid on the wine that they bought and get a rebate back from the government. So they don't pass on that tax that they've paid, that GST that they've paid, they don't pass that on to the final consumer of the wine who buys the glass of wine in the restaurant.
Okay.
So that's what makes it complicated is that, you see, now there's a incentive to just kind of strategically time the purchases of these goods for businesses.
What about the list of what's included and not included here? I mean, this is, it seems to me that I think restaurant meals for a lot of people might be considered a luxury, and beer and wine certainly not necessities. Why give tax breaks on those things?
Oh, I think because the policy was designed by a bunch of people who weren't using their brains. That's all I can say about it. It's a really silly policy to give a holiday to the GST. It's our best way of raising revenue, I think, in Canada. And the kind of scattered collection of goods and services that we're excluding, it's just bad policy. If there are items that we shouldn't include in the base of the GST, then they shouldn't be included all the time, not just
Right.
for the holidays.
Well, right. It got me thinking about that as well. The CFIB, the Canadian Federation for Independent Business, says this could be, their words are, this is going to be a hot mess for business. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a fiasco, really. I mean, like I said, I think that a lot of businesses are going to be waiting to make those big wine purchases for the holidays until right when this thing kicks in. But then, of course, there's the issue about how they are submitting the receipts for the rebates on these items, and it's just going to be a fiasco. I,
Sorry, go ahead.
I think that, like, as you mentioned before with wine and beer, I just wanted to highlight again that, yeah, the idea of this policy, at least from those proposing it, is that we're going to be relieving the pressures on those people who are hit hard by hard economic times. But, people who are going to fill up their wine cellars over the holidays, there's no reason why they should get a 5% discount.
And this also affects different provinces differently depending on the tax regime they have in place. I mean, we said no to a harmonized sales tax here way back when. There are provinces, however, that have it. We're still going to be paying provincial sales tax, and we're still going to be paying social service tax on alcohol purchases.
That's right, but it gets worse. It gets worse because the federal government is going to lose the $1.5 billion of foregone GST revenue collected nationally, but then also is on the hook to pay those HST provinces about $1.5 billion for their foregone HST that they are not collecting, which means provinces like British Columbia who don't have HST, we're effectively paying for the federal government to stop collecting the HST in those provinces that do have it so that they don't lose revenue.
Okay. Now, do you think the public is going to notice this, or are we going to see some retailers just kind of build it into the cost of products? I mean, if I'm going to take advantage of this and maybe, skim a little bit of the tax break off for themselves.
No, that's right. That's a great question. It's hard to say. The incidence of this tax is not going to be borne entirely by the consumer anyway, and so the incidence of the relief of this tax, we think that some of that's going to fall on the retailers themselves. So some vendors are going to maybe not give the sale prices that they would have given over the holidays because effectively the federal government is already doing that for them.
Right. So, and in that, I mean, they'll end up doing a little bit better. They're not discounting their goods. It appears to be discounted because there's no tax on it.
That's right, exactly. So, and so, like, how much of the price reduction, because of, an example I would give is a case of beer. Imagine a case of beer costs $22 with the GST included. I mean, the person selling that case of beer knows that people are willing to pay $22 for that case of beer. You put a 5% discount on that case of beer. Is the retailer now not going to sell it for $22? Are they really going to sell it for a lower price? It's not clear.
Hmm. I'm just, but and how much of a difference does that make over 20? I mean, I guess the beer is like now $20.40 or something like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I guess how much of a well, you've already talked about the revenue loss for the government. There's the foregone GST, and I didn't even think about the foregone HST in those other provinces. How much is this going to hit government coffers? And I mean, could this actually affect funding for other vital public services?
Yeah, I just think the problem with this really, I think, is it's eroding our appreciation for appropriate taxation. The GST is one of the best sources of revenue we have. It's not as volatile as the income tax because consumption is not as volatile as income around the business cycle. So really what we should be doing is using the GST relatively more. But over the last 20 years, we've actually cut the GST from 7% to 6% and now 5. We're going in the wrong direction. And what that means is that some of the burden of raising revenue is falling on other tax bases, like income tax, personal and corporate. And that's not the best way to raise revenue in our economy.
And with this whole scheme, are you glad to see the checks paused? The federal government was originally going to be sending out $250 checks. That appears to be put on hold while it's being argued about in Ottawa. Obviously, somebody who earns $149,000 would get a check. Somebody who lives on a disability allowance would not.
Yeah, I mean that was a silly policy, right? This is the thing. It's like the people making these policies are so far removed from those who they claim they're trying to help. So I'm glad to hear that they're putting that on pause. But if you think about what this tax holiday with the GST was about, it was supposed to relieve the pressures on low income households. They could have done that with checks to low income households, but instead they did this tax holiday for the GST, which really is not a holiday at all. I mean, it's not like our creditors that are lending the federal government money are going to stop charging interest over the holidays,
Right.
right?
Well, they would tell you this is aimed at working Canadians. No G, working Canadians.
Working, yeah, yeah, yeah.
All
I
right.
mean, who's getting worked over right now is the public. Like I said, we need to appreciate good taxes. The good taxes are better than worse taxes. No one loves taxes, but I mean, of all the taxes we have, the GST is the only one that I would put on a shirt with a heart around it.
I would like to see you walk down the street with that shirt on.
I think I
Ross,
should make one.
thank you so much. It's great to hear you this morning.
Yeah, you're welcome. Take care.
You too. That's Ross Hickey, economist at UBC Okanagan's Faculty of Management.